Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya yato anvayaditaratascha artheshu abhigyaswarat Tene brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah Tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna swena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi Nigamakalpataror galitam phalam shukamukad drava sanyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. We now enter the 50th chapter of the 10th Skandha of Bhagavatam. This is the second half beginning where we see Dwaraka city being built and all the pastimes in Dwaraka. So Shuka Brahma Rishi continues. He says, after Kamsa was killed, his two wives, who are called as Asti and Prapti, they were full of sorrow. So they went to their father's house. Their father is Jarasandha. We already saw when Kamsa was making plans to invite Krishna and Balaram, he said the only person he trusts is his father-in-law Jarasandha because he is just as evil. So he said, I'll kill my own father Ugrasena, kill Vasudeva, kill everyone, and then ally with my father-in-law Jarasandha and rule the earth. So Jarasandha is just as evil, if not more. And therefore, now that Kamsa is killed, his wives, that is his widows, they go to the father. And Jarasandha is, of course, very angry because he was very close to Kamsa. They were both on the same page on everything. And therefore, he now also sees his daughters in grief and being very indignant at hearing the story of his daughters being made into widows. Jarasandha decided to attack the Yadavas, that is, attack Mathura. So he brought forth a huge army made of 23 Akshauhinis, it is said. Akshauhini means a contingent of battle. Each Akshauhini, it is given in Bhagavatam, has 100,000 men, 60 odd thousand horses, 20,000 odd elephants, and 20,000 odd chariots. So it's a huge army, one Akshauhini, and 23 Akshauhinis means there are at least 2.5 million people, not to mention hundreds of thousands of elephants and horses and chariots. So he brings an army of 2.5 million people to besiege Mathura. So, just to give a sense, the entire Mahabharat war was fought only with 18 Akshauhinis, that is 18, which is to say 1.8 or almost 2 million people. Here he has brought 2.5 million people. So when he has brought such a huge ocean of army that has taken siege of Mathura and all the people are in fear, Krishna sees this and he ponders over what he ought to do now, because what is the purpose of his avatar is to remove the wicked ones. And therefore, Krishna ponders on whether to kill Jarasandha right away or to kill all these wicked men who have come in this army. Because Krishna thinks, it says here, Chintayamasa Bhagavan Harihi Karana Manushaha Tadesha Kalanugunam Swa Avatara Prayojanam. So the purpose of his avatar, according to the time and place, Desha Kala, is to get rid of all the evil ones. That's one of the main purposes. The second is protecting the saintly. And the third and the most important is to bestow loving devotion. So Jarasandha has very conveniently assembled all the wicked ones and brought 2.5 million people. So Krishna decides that it is best to destroy this army, every one of them, because all the wicked men are assembled, but spare Jarasandha, because Jarasandha is capable of assembling armies like this again and again. So he will conveniently do the job of bringing all the wicked ones, assembling everyone and bringing them so that the burden on earth can be removed. So Jarasandha is not to be killed, only his army has to be killed. That is the purpose of this avatar. Krishna tells himself. It says here, Etadartho avatara ayam bhubhara haranaya me samrakshanaya sadhunam Kruto Anyesham Adhayacha. So it says here the purpose of this avatar is to reduce the burden on earth. Bhu Bhara Haranayacha. Samrakshanaya Sadhunam, protection of the saintly, Anyesham Adhayacha, and then kill the other wicked ones. Therefore, in order to do that alone, I have descended as all these avatars, and especially now as Krishna. And therefore, Krishna decides that we will spare Jarasandha alive, but kill the whole army. So when he resolves thus, two chariots, heavenly chariots, which are effulgent like the sun, they descend, and accompanied by a charioteer who's called Dwaraka, and they are fitted with very divine signs like Garuda, the divine eagle, and so on. And seeing these chariots with all the weapons, the divine weapons also in them, Krishna addresses Balaram, the dear brother Balaram. Ayudhani cha divyani puranani yadrichaya drishtva tani Hrishikesha shankarshanam atha abravit. So he addresses Hrishikesha, the lord of all the senses, Krishna. He addresses Sankarshana, who's Balaram, seeing all the transcendental divine weapons. He says, Pashya Arya, see, O noble brother. Arya is a beautiful word which means a noble man. And therefore, Krishna addresses Balaram as, Hey Arya, Pashya. See this, O Arya, my noble brother. Such a big calamity has come for the Yadavas in the form of this huge army of 2.5 million people who have laid siege, and you are the guardian. So Krishna addresses Balaram with great respect, because even though Krishna can vanquish the whole army, he gives due respect to his elder brother, and he tells Balaram that you are the guardian of all of us, and your chariot has come here, my chariot has also come, and both the chariots are loaded with all the divine weapons, and therefore let's mount this vehicle, you lead us, and let's sweep this army off and completely eliminate this threat for our people, because this is the purpose of our descent, to bring happiness to the virtuous. So therefore, Krishna tells Balaram, remove the burden on earth in the form of these 23 Akshauhinis. So thus being told by Krishna to Balaram, both Krishna and Balaram decide to execute the mission. So they ride out of the city. So they board the two divine chariots, take the weapons. They take a small contingent around them, which is not even necessary. They just accompany them. But in a very small army, with a small army surrounding them, and clad in divine armor with divine weapons, they enter, or they exit the city and enter the battlefield. And Dwaraka is the charioteer, and they both enter looking so resplendent, divine. And as soon as they enter, Krishna blows his conch shell, just as he does in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita that strikes terror in the Kauravas. Here he blows the conch shell that strikes terror in Jarasandha's army. And looking at the two brothers, Jarasandha laughs, because he thinks, even though the army is terrified just by the sound of the conch shell, Jarasandha is talking with some bravery. He says, first to Krishna, he says, you are the younger brother, so I shall not fight with you. I'll fight with the elder brother. So he is being very brave, and he wants to directly have combat with Balaram. He also knows Balaram is strong, and therefore he is, even though he is an evil king, he is a Kshatriya, and he wants a very fit fight. So he says to Krishna, in an insulting way, he says, Hey Krishna Purushadhama, Guptena hi tvaya manda na yotsyase yahi bandhuhan. He insults Krishna by saying, Purushadhama, O lowest among men, Guptena hi, you always conceal yourself, tvaya manda, and you are foolish, and you are a bandhuhan, you have killed your own relative in the form of your uncle Kamsa. So this is the way he insults Krishna. But here is a beautiful interpretation one Acharya has given. And this shows how even when one tries to insult Krishna, it becomes a glorification. Because Purushadhama, lowest among men, is one translation. But the other translation is one in front of whom all men are lowest. So nobody is comparable. Everyone is inferior to you. So the word Purushadhama normally means lowest among men, but it also means one in front of whom all else is inferior. Guptena, he means one who is concealing yourself, but it can also imply that Krishna is abiding in the heart of all and therefore concealed within. Tvaya Manda, he says, by you, O fool, but the way Sanskrit works, it can also be split as Tvaya Amanda, which means one who is supremely alert. And then Bandhuhan means one who has killed one's relative. He implies he has killed Kamsa, but it can also mean that one who removes bondage, because Bandhu also means bondage. So the way Jarasandha addresses Krishna as if insulting him, in fact, it turns out to be a glorification. That is the beauty of the way Sanskrit language is and the way the words come out of anyone who tries to even insult Krishna. But in any case, on the face of it, he says, I shall not fight with you, I'll fight with Balaram. He says, Tava Rama Yadi Shraddha Yudhyasva Dhairyam Udvaha. He says, O Rama, O Balaram, you fight with me. So then Krishna addresses him and says, do not brag. One who is truly courageous, they simply exhibit their manliness. They do not simply brag. So just enter the fight. He says, Darshayanti eva paurusham. Paurusham means manliness or valor. So those who are truly brave only display their valor and not talk. So enter the fight. So then Balaram and Krishna march towards Jarasandha, and Jarasandha's army marches towards them. But because their army is so huge, their troops and their vehicles and the horses and the elephants and the chariots, all of them create such huge dust. It's as if a tempest has covered the sun with clouds. So when there is a huge tempest, how the sun is covered with clouds, or a fire is covered with dust. Even when there is a fire burning, when there is a lot of dust rising up, the dust seemingly covers the fire. Similarly, the sun is covered by clouds, but the truth is the sun is always present. It is not affected by the clouds. Similarly, even though Jarasandha's army seemed to cover Krishna and Balaram up in the din, they were in there and they were unaffected by it. Their emblems of their chariot were shining bright. But meanwhile, all the women of Mathura, they had all climbed up the watchtowers and the high mansions in Mathura, so that from there, from within the fort, they can view the battle, and they are worried because they are not able to see Krishna and Balaram's chariots. It's covered in the din of the dust raised by Jarasandha's huge 2.5 million army. So, when this is the case, suddenly Krishna sends a volley of arrows. He sees that his small force that has come along with him and Balaram is being overwhelmed by the huge army of Jarasandha. So Krishna twangs his excellent Sharanga bow. Krishna's bow is called Sharanga. That's why Krishna is also called Sharanga Pani. So he twangs his bow Sharanga and he takes arrows out of his quiver and fits them and pulls the string of the bow at full length and starts discharging volleys of arrows fast. So we saw that Krishna was, of course, growing up as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, but then he learned the 64 arts at the Gurukul of Sandipani. Krishna and Balaram both learned it, and one of them is archery. So Krishna learned Dhanurveda among all the other various ways of warfare, along with various arts and crafts and so on. So here he gets a chance to display his archery. So Krishna starts releasing arrows in volleys, and it is said that the elephants are all dying. All the elephants are dying with their heads split up. The horses are dropping dead in large numbers with their necks cut off. The chariots are all falling down. All the charioteers are killed. All the foot soldiers, the 2.5 million foot soldiers, are getting killed left and right. They're all falling down with their thighs and necks severed. And it is said a very gory battle ensues. All these wicked, evil men are all killed in such millions that Shuka Brahma Rishi says there is a stream of blood flowing there. So he very poetically describes this with a great metaphor. He says there is a river of blood flowing because there is all the elephants and horses and men who are all in millions getting killed, getting mowed down. And because of that, there is a river of blood flowing. And in this river, he says, in a very metaphoric way, arms of men are floating like serpents. Their heads, severed heads, are floating like tortoises in the river. Their hands are floating like fish. The hair of the men, which are cut and going separately, are floating like weeds in the river. And their gems and ornaments are floating like gravels and rocks and stones. So the whole river of blood is floating with all kinds of such entities or such various body parts which are looking like various aquatic entities. And further, the elephants and elephants are floating, the horses are floating. So the elephants are looking like huge shoals, and the horses are looking like alligators. And the bows that are floating, they are floating like arrows. And in this way, everything there, the entire army, not just the men, but the elephants, the horses, the chariots, all their swords, all their bows, all their weapons, everything is killed, everything is destroyed. And in this river of blood, everything is floating. And it says here that this, looking at this, brings terror to cowards, but it encourages true warriors, because warriors, Kshatriyas, when a righteous battle comes, to engage in a righteous battle encourages them, and therefore this sight encourages the righteous warriors, and especially Balaram or Sankarshana, who is of immeasurable strength. His name itself is Bala, means strong, so he is immeasurable strength. He is simply annihilating the enemies with his weapons. He is bringing to destruction the entire force of Jarasandha, and the whole place is looking, as said, like a huge flood of blood, river of blood. And it's all done as if like a play. That's the best part. It says the two sons of Vasudeva, the Lord of the universe, they were engaged in it like play. It says Vasudeva Putrayor Vikriditam Tat Jagadishayo Param. So Jagadisha means the Lord of the universe. Vasudeva Putra, son of Vasudeva. For the two sons of Vasudeva, Balaram and Krishna, it was simply like a krida, Vikriditam. They were playing there. And it's no wonder, because Shukabrahma Rishi says, one who handles the creation, sustenance, and annihilation of the whole universe, for him, this is simply a sport to engage as a human and to kill this army. It says, Stita Udbhava Antam Bhuvanatrayasya Yas Samihate Ananta Gunaha Swalilaya. So, by his own sport, as if a sport, Swalilaya, the one with infinite gunas, infinite attributes, Ananta Gunaha, he manages the whole universe with its creation, sustenance, and dissolution. So, what is the great wonder that all these people are getting killed? In fact, Krishna can kill the whole army with the twinkle of an eye, but he engages in this battle simply as a sport, taking the human form and engaging in this battle and killing like a Kshatriya, only to engage in a Leela, which also displays his valor and which increases the mood of devotion and reverence towards Krishna. So it's all simply a Leela for Krishna, and this way Jarasandha's army was wiped out, and Balaram now catches hold of Jarasandha as a lion would catch hold of the opposing lion. Balaram catches hold of Jarasandha, who is now without his chariot, without his army, with his entire force wiped out, and he is intending to kill him off. But of course, Krishna has decided that he should be let go. So when Jarasandha is pulled by Balaram and bound with a cord, Krishna tells him to let go and tells him why, because he will come back and we can have the opportunity to kill all the wicked people. Right now, we just got rid of 2.5 million. There will be more coming. All of them need to be killed. That's the purpose of our descent. So we let him go. So accordingly, Balaram lets go of Jarasandha, and then he goes away, and he is very depressed as a warrior king who is a very brave warrior king, though evil. He is not only been completely defeated but not killed, which is worse than being killed, because he is now pardoned and let go, which is a great source of shame for him. So he goes and he decides to engage in penance, so that just as Krishna had prophesied, he is resolving to engage in penance to build his power up, collect another army, and come back. Everybody tells him various words of comfort. Some try to dissuade him, some try to encourage him. But regardless, he is deciding to engage in penance. Meanwhile, Krishna, along with Balaram, after killing Jarasandha's army entirely, they return to Mathura. And when they return to Mathura, there is great celebration in Mathura naturally. All the men and women are so happy, and there is a great festivity, great celebration. They are covered with flowers. The gods are applauding, and the victory is celebrated by singers, by poets, and there is drums being played, kettle drums being played, flutes and tom-toms and trumpets being blown, and the road is sprinkled with fragrant water, and there is flags put up, there is arches put up, women are carrying flowers and grains of rice and all the rest. And with all of this, Krishna and Balaram are welcomed back into the city, and they go to meet the king Ugrasena, as we can remember. Ugrasena is the king, Krishna and Balaram are the princes. They are the grand nephews of the king, and therefore they go to the king and they present the entire bounty collected from the war, because after all of them are killed, all the ornaments and all their weapons were all collected and presented to the king. So meanwhile, just as expected, Jarasandha comes back with another army of the same number, 2.5 million people, and he is again annihilated by Krishna the same way. And he does this for 17 times. So we can imagine how many people. It's about 40 million people who are getting killed. And this is the way Krishna reduces the burden on earth, because there were so many wicked people living. And each time he brings an army of 2.5 million people, not to mention all the other horses and chariots and elephants and so on. And they are all killed, completely destroyed. And each time Krishna does the same, which is to spare him to go back. And he doesn't never learn, and he does the same routine. He goes back, does penance, and comes back with the same army, and so on. Meanwhile, before he comes for the 18th time, there is a new enemy now. There is someone called Kalayavana, who's a Yavana. Yavana means generally it refers to people in the Middle East, and they are called as also Mlechas. So he brings a huge army of 30 million people. Hard to believe. So he brings 30 million people, and he brings this huge army to besiege Mathura even before Jarasandha has come. So there is a backstory for Kalayavana, in that Kalayavana was blessed to be able to fight the Yadus and bring harm to the Yadus or the Adavas, because the Adavas had committed a transgression against a rishi. So some of the Adavas, it is said, they made fun of a rishi called Gargi, and because of that the rishi did penance, and Shiva blessed him that he can have a son through the Yavanas, who will be Kalayavana, who cannot be killed by anyone and who will bring harm to the Yadavas. So accordingly, Kalayavana fulfills this prophecy, because he is a great warrior, and Narada goes to him in fact and tells him that you have to go fight the Yadavas. So Kalayavana is not aware of this blessing that his father got, but Narada wants to fulfill the prophecy because his death has to come about. Kalayavana, of course, has this boon that he'll not be killed by anyone. So we will see what happens, because Kalayavana is sent by Narada to the place of Yadavas, Mathura. So he comes with this huge army. Seeing this, Krishna recognizes that now this fellow has come with a huge army, and Jarasandha is also going to come with a huge army. Of course, Krishna, if he chooses to, can handle both the armies at the same time, but he instead chooses a different course of action. He tells Balaram that we have now two sides being attacked. One side Kalayavana, the other side Jarasandha is going to come. Both have a huge army, and because of this, all our relations and the entire city of Mathura will be very frightened. And therefore, let's do one thing. We will construct a city in the middle of the sea, which will be our new capital and which will be difficult to access for anyone. And we will move all our relations there, and then we will handle this Kalayavana. So here it has to be noticed that where Krishna and Balaram are situated in Mathura is in the northern part of Bharat, which is far away, at least 1,000 miles away from the ocean. And so Krishna instead decides to not go anywhere nearby, but go to the west coast of the ocean, which is the land of Gujarat, and he decides to build a city there. So this is the Leela of Krishna, where he instantly decides to shift to Dwaraka as ordained, and therefore by his Yogamaya he gets a huge city, a city of, it is said, 96 miles, covering a span of 96 miles, 12 yojanas, is being built instantly by Krishna's Yogamaya. So with the help of Vishwakarma, the great architect, a huge city is built instantly in the middle of the Western Sea, which is the city of Dwaraka. And this city is built so beautifully with expert knowledge of architecture and has great artistic and masonic skill being deployed. So there are beautiful roads and streets, beautiful quadrangles, and everywhere there are beautiful gardens with trees and creepers, and there is nice gateways and arches, and houses are having top domes made of gold and jewels laid, and there are temples for various deities, and the many houses are covered with wooden rooftop. So it's a very beautiful looking city that is built in no time, and all the devatas, that is the demigods, they all do their part. Indra sends the celestial parijata tree. Varuna sends beautiful white horses and dark horses. Kubera sends all the riches, all the treasures, and so on. So, in this way, all the devatas, the demigods who get all their power only from Krishna, they want to show their gratitude by giving all these various opulences to this divine city of Dwaraka that is being built in no time. And therefore, this city is now put up, this huge city in the middle of the ocean, or off the coast of the ocean, is built, called Dwaraka, with a beautiful fortress around and with all these wonderful decorations and architecture as described. And now comes the most interesting part. Krishna, overnight, he transfers all the people of Mathura to Dwaraka. So, this is again revealing the great Yogamaya of Krishna. It is said that the entire population of Mathura that was sleeping one night, the city was built. Mathura was, of course, besieged by this huge army of Kalayavana. And on the other side, Jarasandha's army is approaching. And within a matter of a couple of days, the city was put up, Dwaraka, on the west coast. And now, Krishna, by his Yogamaya, it is said, overnight, he transferred everyone instantly to Dwaraka. So, all of them, it is described also in Vishnu Purana that all the men, women, and children, along with all their possessions and all the various articles they had, they went to sleep and they woke up in this most opulent city in Dwaraka by the coast, and with a much warmer weather and with most opulent surroundings around them, and they were all completely surprised pleasantly to be in this new place. Now, after doing this, after having taken care of that, Balaram alone remains in Mathura to take care of the city. All the residents, all the inhabitants have been moved to Dwaraka. So, after taking care of this, Krishna goes to Mathura again. He enters Mathura by his Yogamaya and tells Balaram what has happened. And then, now interestingly, he decides to exit Mathura in front of the army of Kalayavana unarmed. Because Krishna knows that Kalayavana has the boon of Shiva that he cannot be killed by anyone, and Krishna wants to honor it, and therefore Krishna will not kill Kalayavana. But we will see how Kalayavana is finished off, because Kalayavana has got this huge army, he's waiting outside, and his people have been protected. Now, Mathura's people have all been protected by being transferred to Dwaraka. The city is empty, only Balaram and Krishna are there. Now, Krishna has to take care of this Kalayavana, so he very mysteriously exits the city unarmed, wearing simply a beautiful garland of flowers. Now, we will see what happens to Kalayavana and how this beautiful pastime of Krishna handling Kalayavana transpires in the next chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.